GG, Game Freak. Good game. You got me good. You managed to get me hyped for something that's been prominent in the game since X and Y. Well played, marketing team. Green interwebs, it's Jackie K, and welcome for another Sun and Moon KayCast. We got a trailer on the 4th of October, so I figured I would discuss it a little more. First thing the trailer started off with is we're getting new evolutions for the starters. Okay, if you've been following Pokemon, that's obvious, but they actually revealed what the new forms are today, as in that trailer. Rowlet, the owl grass Pokemon, is getting a evolution called Darktis. And let me just go through the other ones. Litten is getting a Fire Cat evolution known as Torracat, and Poplio is becoming Bryolin. Where do I start? Well, if we're going solely based on evolution to second form evolution, I'll admit my ranking from favorite to least favorite kind of flips in between the evolutions. Although I know this is Pokemon, stars are going to be getting a final form, so I'm going to reserve my final judgment until I actually play the game for myself and see those final forms. I think out of the three, Litten feels like it changed the least, but I kind of like that. Litten's kind of just been the middle ground, and his evolution kind of shows that. Plus, I know Torracat's a pun on something, and it just feels right. But on the tangent of not feeling right, for some reason, I'm not a huge fan of Poplio's evolution. I almost want to just keep it as a Poplio. There's just something between its adorableness, maybe it just doesn't remind me of LankyCon as much, that gets lost in the mid-form evolution. But I know a lot of people like it. I've been hearing that some people don't like Poplio like this new form, so that's even better. Smug ass. Oh man, I want to say it, but Smug Boss Face Owlhead. It's probably my favorite mid form though. I don't know, it just says, for one, it doesn't help that someone did a comparison picture between it and Miles Edgeworth, and now I can't unsee that. Just this pose, it just has a real smug look to it. Although I'll admit that the Poplio evolution, I read up on it on the Pokemon website, and holy cow, I feel like I relate to it way more than I should for a Pokemon. As for the others, yeah, that smugness look that the owl has kind of reflected on its Pokemon bio as well. Being such a clean, posh, smug face that it doesn't even, it'll sometimes even refuse to battle if it thinks it's gonna get its feathers dirty or some snot like that. And middle ground Litten, the only thing I can say about Torracat besides its punny name is its bell is apparently like a heat organ where it's fire, where it heats up its fire or source of its fire. That's all I really got to say on that. So I would want to just jump right into the next thing that they talk about in the trailer. The Fiesta Plaza, though I'm still trying to wrap my head around it. So I'm sorry in advance. I'm actually going back on the Pokemon site because I just can't seem to take notes on this properly. Saw in the trailer a couple times, but it feels like something I have to actually go in and see and try out for myself to really know. One thing I can really attest is this is where we're getting the dye feature, because under the section shop with your Fiesta coins under the Fiesta Plaza, it mentions that you can buy items, bouncy houses to trade in, dyes for the houses and clothes, and yeah, those Fiesta coins that we briefly saw in the last trailer that went over faction, this area is where it's really going to come into play. And I'm trying to think, for some sad reason, I can't really think of anything in Gen 6 that did this, but in Gen 5, there was like the interface, Inner Plaza, I can't remember what it's called, but you would go into other people's games of sorts and play mini games and earn things that would help boost your own Pokemon. Well, that's kind of the best comparison I got for the Fiesta Plaza. It's considered a communication feature for battling and trading, and you get to buy stuff to raise your stuff. They're this type of description, I know, but one thing we'll have to wait is, yeah, it looks like this is where it's going to be where you want to do wireless battling and that, which I'm a little disappointed at, because one of the things I liked about X and Y was how simple it was to actually set up battles and trades. The fact that they put it into the Fiesta Plaza kind of gives me the impression that I have to either go somewhere or pull up a bunch of extra menus, more so than in X and Y, just to battle or trade against my friends. But I feel like I actually have to play the game for myself to get a feel on that. Next thing about that I think I can really think about is the missions. This was definitely something that was in Black and White, maybe even Black and White 2, where you can hold certain missions, and I know in Black and White it involved either finding a certain NPC or catching a certain Pokemon, and you would earn things for the Enter Tree, which was the equivalent of O powers back then. Here it looks like you'll be able to do missions directly with other people, which is a step up. And I'm going to assume this is a way to earn the Fiesta coins that you would use for customization. Now the site doesn't show it, but I'm pretty sure that they went more into the bouncy houses in the trailer. It looked like it was a way that you could raise stats, so it might be a replacement to super training. It might be an alternative, but like I've said several times and I'll keep saying about these next two things, I just don't know for sure, and I feel like I won't know until I play the game for myself. And speaking of things that look awesome but are just way too hard for me to grasp into words, the next thing they showed off in the trailer is Poképelago, a paradise for Pokemon in PC boxes. Yeah, all those billion EVs that you stuff into PCs trying to raise the right IVs. They can actually do something now. So according to the Pokemon site, Poképelago is a place where Pokemon in PC boxes can enjoy themselves. They can go to a variety of islands and do various activities in them. For example, one of them is pretty much a wild Pokemon lure without actually having to catch Pokemon. It seems like you have your Pokemon hanging around the island, and if you set it enough, wild Pokemon might come along as well, and they might consider joining up with your Pokemon party. So I'm kind of curious how that'll play out, if it allows to get certain Pokemon easier than in the wild, or if it's just a fun little extra. Oh, this is real cool. I just look at a screenshot for Isles of Beans. It actually shows a screen of the wild Pokemon that visit. It looks like you can actually see what Pokemon they are, their gender, and it actually tells you what nature they are as well. And the site mentions that if it has a heart icon, it's taking a liking to you. I assume that once it likes you, it might actually join up with you. That seems like the common sense approach. The one that I'm excited about though is Isle Aphum, which once you develop it, you may be able to obtain valuable items. It's kind of like the Gen 4, specifically in the Sinnoh region, underground area, like digging minigame. Except I don't know if there's actually going to be a minigame involved, or if it's just something your box PC Pokemon will do on their own. But they're definitely getting similar items, like one of these screenshots show off getting elemental stones and a heart stone and a float stone. So it seems like it's gonna be an automated underground digging minigame. Perhaps as a minigame, maybe it's completely automated. Next thing I want to talk about is something that I consider a staple of the series since the beginning of the 6th generation, but through a combination of lack of communication and fan speculation, they actually managed to trick me into thinking that it might not come back, and actually get me excited for something that I originally considered a staple. That's right, Mega Evolutions are coming back. And that's about all they said in the trailer. They just showed 3 of the 6th generation Mega Evolutions. By which I mean all the Mega Evolutions of the past. Doing a Mega Evolution, doing a move, and that was it. However, through the power of overanalyzing, I think we can extend this topic a few more minutes. Going onto the Pokemon website, they talked about how Mega Evolutions would be returning, and that you would find them between various people you talk to along your adventure, and special shops. More on that a little later though. Now, my personal theory along the lines of how Mega Evolutions will actually work in Sun and Moon, I'm next to positive that they're not going to be a focus of the game. They might even be pushed more towards post-game material. And currently, I'm pretty sure we're not going to be getting any new Mega Evolutions. Just a combination of how they were presented in the trailer, the focus of putting so many of them in a battle shop, or some sort of shop where you exchange battle points. Something very commonly done in post-game. But more on that in a sec. And something that I'll cover in more detail later, but in the notes for the update to the global link, currently they're pushing their tournaments with no Mega Evolutions. That might just be because it's a new game, we want to focus on the new material, but that's also the reasoning I'm having behind them wanting to focus the battling on Z moves and possibly Alola forms, rather than a concept that was already introduced in X and Y. The only thing that makes me even believe slightly that you'll be able to encounter them before you become the champion or complete all the Isle Trials, or however they want to consider the end of the game in Sun and Moon, is that line of dialogue about the NPCs giving you Mega Stones along the way. As for those special shops, I think I already know what they are. If you go onto the Pokemon site, you actually have to scourge for this, but you click on the screenshot for Mega Evolutions and scroll through the pictures, you'll actually see a shop that sells the Mega Stones. And there's a particular yet familiar currency that they use. Battle points. Where have we seen battle points before? Well, in the 6th generation, within the Battle Mason, Battle Subway in the 5th generation, and for 3rd and 4th generation, there's a little thing called Battle Frontier. Yes, I'm pretty sure they're called different things in the 3rd gen games and the 4th gen games, but it's a similar purpose of a huge multi-area facility with various battle modes to do that I really enjoyed because it really shook up the gameplay. Like, for one, there was one area where you send only one Pokemon and it battle automatically. Another mode where you actually go for a whole maze with a fixed amount of items and you just find them along the way. Another where you're completely relying on rental Pokemon, and but you get to trade with other Pokemon trainers along the way, really forcing you to think carefully about each of your team members, and the list goes on and on. And this is something that me and I'm pretty certain a lot of other fans have been wanting to come back ever since the 4th generation, even though it was in... Okay, I was gonna say, there's been some fans that didn't even like the Battle Frontier-like mode in the 4th generation, even though it was practically the same thing but with new features. But point being, ever since Black and White, we haven't really had a proper return to that mode, and I'd love to see it someday. Odds are it's gonna be just something simple, like the Battle Mason was in X and Y though. A guy can dream though. Now, if you want to take a literal approach to this and only want to confirm Mega Evolutions that they showed, or showed the Mega Stones, here is a list of all the Pokemon that are 100% going to have their Megas return for Sun and Moon. Keep in mind though that I'm still fairly certain that they're all coming back. But we're taking a literal approach here because being literal is practically all my childhood. So they showcase Mega Kangaskhan, Mega Salamence, and Lego Lucario. No, Mega Lucario, you fool. So those are definitely coming back. We saw a brief glimpse of Mega Garchomp and Mega Aerodactyl in that trailer. Screenshot from the Pokemon website shows our protagonist receiving an Alakazam, confirming Mega Alakazam is returning. And then we got that screenshot that has all the Mega Stones listed. There's so many that I need a moment to just pull up the site and read them off. Alright, so besides the ones I've mentioned, the screenshot shows a Gengarite for Mega Gengar, Scissorite for Mega Scissor, Pinsirite for Mega Pinster, and Gyarados Ice for Mega Gyarados. And before you assume that's it, even in the worst case scenario, I do want to point out how this screenshot has a scroll, and it's not even a third, and the scroll bar isn't even a third of the length of the whole scroll bar. So even in the most literal sense, it is safe to assume that a lot of the Mega Stones, even beyond the ones that I'm listing, are going to be returning. At least double or triple the amount I listed out. And from a less literal approach, it'd just be common sense to bring them all back. Why bring back so many and just to leave one or two out? I would say for balancing purposes, but they're bringing back frickin' Mega Kangaskhan, so that theory is pretty much out the window. And now that I spent triple the time talking about something that most people would summarize in a minute, actual new stuff. Well, for one, on October 18th, we're going to be getting a demo of Pokemon Sun and Moon. It's going to be from the way they describe it, it seems like it's going to work very similarly, if not from note to note, to the Omega Ruby Alpha Sapphire special demo, if you remember. If you don't, essentially that demo played out a fictional scenario with the characters of the game, and you go around a very fixed area with a party of Pokemon and battling along the way. It seems like they're going to be doing that with Sun and Moon. But the one thing that's really worth noting is that there's going to be a new, I use a little loosely, Pokemon that will be taking along the way. If you watch the Pokemon anime, you may already be familiar with the iconic, if not infamous, Ash Greninja. And that is actually coming to Sun and Moon. A little differently than how we expected. Ash Greninja, for one, I'm surprised that they called it Ash Greninja and it's gonna look the same way. If it wasn't for the fact that they've pretty much done Ash Greninja on spin-offs already, like Pokemon Shuffle. I say that because the whole point of the Ash Greninja is that it has the ability to bond with the trainer. So it looks similar to Ash because it's bond with Ash Ketchum from the anime. But I don't know. I'm sure there's some sort of boodle-doodle explanation for it, when we all know the real reason is marketing and the fact that they already designed this Greninja. As I was going to say though, it's not a mega evolution like people expect. Even though on the show it shows going beyond mega. The Battle Bond is a natural ability of the Ash Greninja. From what I've seen, and I'm pretty sure how they describe it on the site, when it defeats a Pokemon, it'll turn into its Ash form. I'm a little disappointed by this because that means its ability is set on the Battle Bond. It can't have the super awesome ability of Greninja known as Protein, where it changes moves, where it changes its type based on the last move it does, always getting Stab and making for some pretty interesting mind games. I think I'll have to actually see how powerful the Battle Bond form is, since there's no strong or unique ability to really separate it. Because Battle Bond, which gives it the form, is its ability. Oh man, I made that way more of a mouthful than it needed to be. Like in the Omega Ruby Alpha Sapphire demo, where you could transfer your party into the main game, you'll be able to transfer the Ash Greninja from this demo into Sun and Moon once it's released. And the only other thing of note is that Nintendo mentions you can either get off the eShop or off their Nintendo homepage. I'm not sure how long they've been doing this for products, but this is the first I'm hearing about it. On the more speculative side, maybe it'll be like the Omega Ruby Alpha Sapphire demo, where if you play it enough times over and over, you'll get extra items, maybe even extra Pokemon that you could transfer over to the games. That would be pretty fun. And it worked out pretty well for Omega Ruby Alpha Sapphire, so I don't see why they wouldn't do that for this demo as well. But I do admit that's pure speculation. So the only other thing really of note to come out around this time is, if you've been following the Pokemon Global link, you may have noticed that you can't connect to it on your X and Y game or Omega Ruby Alpha Sapphire. I haven't actually done battles in a while, so I don't know if that means all online features are down besides Mystery Gift. No. Those features are definitely still up, but I mean going on to using the battle spot, doing battles with random people for ranking and that. They took all that down a little while back in X, Y, Omega Ruby, and Alpha Sapphire. And the latest announcement mentions that they are going to update and reopen those features on November 18th to go alongside with the launch of Pokemon Sun and Moon. Which does mean you won't be able to use the older games for these sorts of battling anymore. And it goes into a little more detail, though I'm gonna breeze by all this because it's only the most competitive of players are really gonna be able to use it or care about it. They got various modes, and I will mention the new rules for the championship battles. The main points include their double battle format, limited to the lower region Pokedex, excluding some legendary mythical Pokemon. So this sounds already like it's going to be a VGC minus the elements of X and Y. Case in point, Megastones are not allowed, and only Pokemon obtained in Sun and Moon may be entered. So it's pretty much exactly how the X and Y VGCs started out minus the Megastones. Of course, because, like I said, they're not the main focus of Sun and Moon. They also mentioned your time feature for battling, which I could have sworn already was in X and Y, but essentially, you have a set amount of time to make your turn, and if you don't make your turn that amount of time, you lose. This is only for ranking battles, though. Oh, I'm glad I actually took the time to read through this, because I completely missed on this. Global missions are coming. They're limited time events that give trainers around the world a share mission via the Fiesta Plaza, and they'll be held at regular intervals. The theme of the first global mission will be catch lots of Pokemon. It's expected to go live late in November. Why, this mission is about catching lots of Pokemon regardless of their species. Apparently the details will be announced before the mission goes live. Keep your eyes peeled for the reward you can receive for completing the mission, and invite your friends to join too. So yeah, it already seems like the Battle Plaza is going to be tying into the global online features of Sun and Moon, which is nice. It's good to know that that's all coming together and that it'll fall apart when we moved on several generations and the online support is no longer supported. Oh! Sorry, I think I got a cold there. And that's all I really want to cover with the Sun and Moon news drop we got. If you enjoyed what you saw, even lightly, I encourage you to like this on the medium that you're watching it on. If you want further updates, I encourage you to subscribe or follow the feed that you're watching this from as well. I do other things on my YouTube channel as well. I believe it's under URL of Jacket Con, but you can find it under Jacket K. To keep up to date with me, I have several social media avenues you can follow. For video updates, I encourage you to go on to the Facebook page of Jacket KLPs. If you don't mind me, if you only have Twitter and don't mind me going on tangents completely unrelated and doing whatever I want on there, as well as mention when things go live or give updates on my schedule, you can also follow me on Twitter at the URL of Jacket Stuff. And if you want to follow my art, I do have various social medias on that. I list the links to a few of those on the YouTube page. I did originally want to do a general but shorter KayCast later on in the week, but thinking more about it, I haven't really came across much outside of Pokemon Sun and Moon I want to talk about. So I think I'm just going to focus on preparing a better video for next week. It'll give me a chance to catch up with some things outside the internet as well. Until then though, I hope to see you all then. Okay?